It was a humid summer night in Chicago when my straight roommate, Jake, stumbled through the door at 2 a.m., reeking of cheap beer and regret. His eyes, usually sharp and confident, were glazed over as he collapsed onto the couch, mumbling something incoherent that sounded suspiciously like my name. In that moment, as he reached out and grabbed my hand, I knew our carefully balanced friendship was about to shatter into a million confusing pieces. I froze, my heart pounding like a drum in my chest. Jake and I had been roommates for 2 years, ever since we both landed jobs in the city after college. He was the classic all-American guy, tall, athletic, with a jawline that could cut glass and a string of girlfriends that came and went like seasons. Me? I was Alex, the quiet graphic designer who kept my sexuality under wraps. Not because I was ashamed, but because in our shared apartment on the edge of Wrigleyville, it felt safer that way. We'd bonded over late-night video games, pizza runs, and endless debates about the Cubs' chances in the playoffs. He knew I was gay. I'd come out to him casually one evening over beers, but he'd always treated it like no big deal, slapping me on the back and saying, "Cool, man, doesn't change a thing." And it hadn't until now. Jake's grip tightened, his calloused fingers intertwining with mine in a way that felt both foreign and electric. "Alex," he slurred, his voice thick with alcohol. I think I've been lying to myself." My mind raced. Was this a drunken joke? A hallucination? Or the start of something I'd secretly hoped for but never dared to voice? I pulled back slightly, but he held on, his eyes locking onto mine with an intensity I'd only seen when he was gearing up for a big game back in our college days. "What do you mean?" I whispered, my voice barely audible over the hum of the air conditioner. He let out a shaky laugh, running his free hand through his disheveled brown hair. "All those girls, man, they were great, but it never felt right. Not like this." He gestured vaguely between us, and my stomach twisted. Jake had always been the straight arrow, the one who'd tease me about my type while scrolling through dating apps for himself. But here he was, vulnerable and raw, peeling back layers I'd assumed were impenetrable. I helped him to his room, tucking him in like a concerned friend, but as I closed the door, his words echoed in my head. Lying to myself. What did that even mean for us? The next morning, the apartment smelled like stale beer and awkward silence. Jake emerged from his room with a pounding headache, clutching a bottle of water like a lifeline. He avoided my eyes at first, fumbling with the coffee maker. "Hey, about last night," he started, his voice hoarse. "I don't remember much, but did I say something stupid?" I hesitated, stirring my own coffee slowly. Part of me wanted to brush it off, pretend it was just the booze talking. But another part, the one that had spent years navigating the minefield of unrequited crushes, pushed me to probe. "You said you've been lying to yourself. About girls, about us." His face paled, and he sat down heavily at the kitchen table. "Shit, Alex. I didn't mean to dump that on you. We talked, or rather he talked and I listened." Turns out, Jake had been questioning his sexuality for months. A bad breakup with his last girlfriend had forced him to confront feelings he'd buried deep. He'd grown up in a conservative suburb outside Detroit, where being anything but straight meant whispers and judgment. His dad, a former military man, had drilled into him the importance of being a real man, whatever that meant. Coming out, even to himself, felt like betraying everything he'd been raised to believe. As he spoke, I felt a mix of empathy and frustration. Empathy because I knew that internal battle all too well. I'd fought it in my own family, where my parents' acceptance came with a side of "just don't flaunt it." Frustration because why now? Why after 2 years of living together, sharing everything from bills to bad days? "So what does this mean?" I asked finally, my voice steady despite the storm inside. Jake shrugged, looking lost. "I don't know. I like you, Alex, more than a friend. But I'm scared shitless." That confession hung in the air like smoke, clouding our easy camaraderie. Over the next few weeks, things shifted subtly. We'd watch movies on the couch, our shoulders brushing closer than before. He'd text me during work breaks with inside jokes that felt laced with something more. But the conflicts started creeping in. Jake wasn't ready to label himself, let alone tell anyone else. "What if my friends freak out?" he'd say, pacing the living room. His buddies from college were the bro type, the ones who'd make casual gay jokes without thinking twice. I tried to be patient, but it stung, being his secret while he figured himself out. One evening, after a particularly tense dinner where he dodged my questions about us, I snapped. "Jake, this isn't fair. You can't just drop a bomb like that and expect me to wait in the wings." He looked hurt, but nodded. "I know. I'm trying." We decided to take it slow, exploring whatever this was in the privacy of our apartment. It was thrilling at first, the stolen glances, the tentative touches, but the outside world loomed large. Chicago was progressive, sure, but Jake's job at a construction firm was filled with macho culture. Whispers of homophobia in the break room made him paranoid. Then came the first real test. Jake's sister, Emily, came to visit from Michigan. She was bubbly and observant, and over brunch at a trendy spot in Lincoln Park, she picked up on the vibe immediately. "You two seem close," she said with a knowing smile. Jake tensed, laughing it off too loudly. "Nah, just roommates." I felt a pang of rejection, but said nothing. Later, back home, he apologized profusely. "I panicked, Alex. She's close to Dad. If she tells him." I understood, but it planted a seed of doubt. Was I just an experiment? A safe space for him to dip his toe in without committing? As summer faded into fall, our relationship deepened despite the hurdles. We'd go for runs along Lake Michigan, talking about everything from our dreams to our fears. Jake opened up about his childhood, how he'd always felt different but pushed it down to fit in. I shared my own stories of coming out in college. The relief mixed with the isolation felt real, genuine, but society kept throwing curveballs. At a company party, Jake introduced me as my roommate, while his coworkers eyed us suspiciously. One guy even pulled him aside, joking about not catching the gay bug. Jake laughed along, but I saw the strain in his eyes. The turning point came during a weekend trip to Milwaukee for a friend's wedding. We shared a hotel room, and for the first time, Jake let his guard down completely. No alcohol this time, just us, talking late into the night. "I think I'm bisexual," he admitted softly. "And I want to be with you." My heart soared, but reality crashed in the next day when his old high school buddies cornered him at the reception. "Heard you're rooming with a gay dude," one said. "Hope he's not turning you." Jake defended me fiercely, but later confessed how much it rattled him. Back in Chicago, the conflicts escalated. Jake's dad called one evening, ranting about a news story on LGBTQ rights. "All this nonsense is ruining the country," he grumbled. Jake stayed silent on the phone, but afterward, he was distant. "What if he disowns me?" he worried. I tried to reassure him, but the pressure built. Our friends started noticing too. My best friend, Sarah, pulled me aside at a bar. "Alex, he's using you to figure himself out. You deserve someone who's all in." Her words echoed my fears. One night, after a heated argument about going public, Jake stormed out. He came back hours later, eyes red from crying. "I can't do this halfway," he said. "But I'm not ready for the world to know." We reached a fragile truce, but the cracks were showing. Society's expectations, family, friends, work, were pulling him in one direction, while his feelings for me tugged the other. It was a powder keg waiting to explode. The explosion came sooner than expected. It was Thanksgiving weekend, and Jake had invited me to join his family in Detroit. At first, I hesitated. Meeting the parents as the roommate felt like a demotion, but he insisted. "It'll be fine," he said, though his voice lacked conviction. The drive up was tense, filled with awkward silences broken by forced small talk. As we pulled into his childhood home, a modest ranch-style house in a quiet suburb, I felt like an intruder. Jake's mom, Linda, greeted us warmly, hugging Jake tightly and giving me a polite smile. His dad, Tom, was gruff, shaking my hand with a firm grip that screamed evaluation. Emily was there too, her eyes twinkling with unspoken questions. Dinner was a minefield. Tom dominated the conversation, railing against woke culture. and how it was pushing agendas on kids. Jake nodded along, avoiding my gaze. When Emily asked about our living situation, Jake joked, "Alex keeps me in line. Best roommate ever." I forced a laugh, but inside, I seethed. Later, in Jake's old room where we'd been assigned to share the pull-out couch, the dam broke. "Why do you let him talk like that?" I whispered harshly. Jake sighed, sitting on the edge of the bed. "He's my dad, Alex. You don't understand." Growing up, his approval meant everything. I did understand all too well. My own coming out had strained my relationship with my parents for years. But this felt different. Jake was hiding us, hiding himself to preserve a facade. The next day, things unraveled further. Tom suggested a father-son hunting trip, but Jake declined, citing work excuses. Instead, we went for a walk in the neighborhood park. There, under the bare November trees, Jake took my hand briefly. "I hate this," he admitted, "pretending we're just friends." But when a neighbor waved, he dropped it like it was hot coal. That small act stung more than words could. Back in Chicago, the holiday fallout lingered. Jake became withdrawn, throwing himself into work. Our intimate moments grew rare, replaced by arguments about commitment. "I need time," he'd say. "Time for what?" "To decide if I'm worth the risk." I counter. The social pressures mounted. At a Christmas party with his coworkers, one made a homophobic slur, and Jake stayed silent. I confronted him later. "If you can't stand up for us there, how can we ever be real?" Jake's internal conflict boiled over during a New Year's Eve gathering at our apartment. Friends from both our circles mingled, the air thick with champagne and laughter. As midnight approached, Sarah cornered me in the kitchen. "He's stringing you along, Alex. Bisexual or not, if he's ashamed, it's not love." Her words hit hard. Meanwhile, Jake was in the living room, laughing with his brothers. When the ball dropped, he pulled me into a corner for a quick kiss, our first public one, sort of. But one of his friends saw, and the next day texts flooded in. "Dude, what's up with that? You switching teams?" The backlash was swift. Jake's phone buzzed nonstop with questions and jokes. He downplayed it, but I saw the fear in his eyes. "This is what I was afraid of," he said. We talked for hours that night, dissecting every angle. Jake admitted his bisexuality was real, but society's judgment made it terrifying. In a perfect world, I'd shout it from the rooftops. But this world sucks. I empathized, but pushed back. Hiding only makes it worse. For both of us. As winter dragged on, we hit a crossroads. Jake started therapy, recommended by Emily, who had quietly become our ally. Sessions helped him unpack his upbringing, the toxic masculinity that had shaped him. But progress was slow. Meanwhile, I faced my own dilemmas. My job offered a promotion that required more travel. Did I take it, risking our fragile bond? Friends urged me to move on, calling Jake's hesitation a red flag. "He's not ready, and you can't wait forever," Sarah said. One stormy evening in February, Jake came home with resolve in his eyes. "I told my boss," he announced. "About us. About me." I was stunned. His boss, surprisingly supportive, had shared his own story of a gay son. It was a small victory, but it sparked hope. We celebrated with takeout and talks of the future. Yet doubts lingered. What about his family? His friends? The real test came at a spring barbecue with Jake's college crew. Tensions simmered as beers flowed. When one guy made a crude joke about gay stuff, Jake shut him down. "That's not cool, man. And yeah, I'm bi. Deal with it." The group fell silent. Then slowly conversations resumed. Not everyone was on board. One friend left early, but others clapped him on the back. "Respect," one said. Emboldened, Jake planned to tell his parents. We drove to Detroit again, my nerves on edge. Over dinner, he dropped the bomb. "Dad, Mom, I'm bisexual. And Alex is more than my roommate, he's my boyfriend." Tom exploded, his face red. "What the hell? This is because of him, isn't it? Corrupting you." Linda tried to calm him, but words flew like daggers. Accusations of betrayal, of ruining the family name. Jake stood his ground, tears in his eyes. "This is who I am, Dad. Take it or leave it." We left amid chaos, Emily hugging us goodbye with promises of support. The drive back was silent, Jake's hands gripping the wheel tightly. "Did I just lose my family?" he whispered. I held his hand. "Maybe not forever, but you gained yourself." Back home, the fallout continued. Tom called, apologizing half-heartedly but insisting Jake think about it. Social media buzzed with mixed reactions from friends. Some supportive, others ghosting. Through it all, our bond strengthened. Jake's choices coming out, defending us, showed commitment. But the conflicts hadn't vanished. They evolved. Workplace whispers, family strain, societal biases. They chipped away, forcing us to fight for every inch of happiness. By summer, a year after that fateful drunken night, our relationship had weathered storms but emerged resilient. Chicago's Pride Parade became a milestone. Jake, hesitant at first, agreed to go. We walked hand in hand amid rainbows and cheers, his face a mix of terror and exhilaration. "This feels right," he said, squeezing my hand. Strangers' acceptance contrasted sharply with the rejection we'd faced, highlighting society's contradictions. Why celebrate diversity in parades but judge it in daily life? Yet not all was smooth. Jake's promotion at work hit a snag. Rumors suggested bias from higher-ups uncomfortable with his orientation. "It's subtle," he confided, "but it's there." I encouraged him to report it, but he worried about rocking the boat. "I just came out. I don't want to be that guy." This sparked debates between us. Fight the system or navigate it quietly. My own experiences leaned toward advocacy. I'd volunteered at LGBTQ centers, but Jake's caution stemmed from fear of backlash. Family dynamics shifted too. Linda reached out, inviting us for a quiet visit. Tom was absent, needing time, she said. Over coffee, she apologized for his reaction. "He's struggling, but he loves you." Jake nodded, emotional. Emily, ever the bridge, shared articles on bisexuality, hoping to educate. But Tom's silence loomed, a constant reminder of unfinished business. Social circles fractured and reformed. Some of Jake's friends drifted away, unable to reconcile the new him. Others stuck around, evolving their views. One, Mike, even admitted, "I was ignorant, man. Sorry." My friends embraced Jake, but Sarah remained skeptical. "He's come far, but watch out for regression." Her caution proved prescient during a rough patch in July. Jake's dad finally called, not to reconcile, but to lecture. "This phase will pass. Come home. Get your head straight." The pun wasn't lost on us, but it hurt. Jake hung up, distraught. That night, he questioned everything. What if he's right? What if I'm just confused? I felt a chill. After all this, you think our love is a phase? The argument escalated, old insecurities resurfacing. Jake's bisexuality became a flashpoint, society's biphobia seeping in, whispering that he wasn't gay enough or straight enough. We took a break. Not a breakup, but space to breathe. I stayed with Sarah, venting frustrations. He chose me, but sometimes it feels like he's choosing safety. Jake threw himself into therapy, unpacking layers of internalized shame. When we reunited a week later, he was resolute. "I choose you, Alex. Every day." We recommitted, but with eyes open to the ongoing battles. Fall brought new challenges. A viral news story about workplace discrimination hit close to home, mirroring Jake's suspicions. Emboldened, he filed a complaint. The process was grueling. Interviews, evidence gathering, but supportive colleagues rallied. It sparked broader conversations at his firm, leading to diversity training. Jake became an accidental advocate, sharing his story in a company newsletter. "Visibility matters," he told me. Pride swelled in my chest, but so did worry. Exposure invited trolls. Online anonymity bred hate. After the newsletter went public, Jake received messages, "Fag, traitor to straight guys." He brushed them off, but I saw the toll. "Why can't people just let us be?" he'd ask. I had no answer, only reminders of our community's resilience. We attended support groups, connecting with other couples facing similar strife. Hearing their stories of rejection, triumph, bolstered us. As winter approached, a family crisis forced confrontation. Tom suffered a minor heart attack, pulling everyone together. At the hospital, tensions crackled. Tom, weakened but stubborn, eyed me warily. "So you're the one," he grumbled. Jake stood tall. "Yeah, Dad. And I love him." In the waiting room, we really talked. Tom admitted fears rooted in his own era's prejudices. "I don't understand it, but I don't want to lose my son." It wasn't full acceptance, but a crack in the wall. Healing began slowly. Christmas that year was tentative, with Tom making awkward efforts, asking about my job, avoiding hot-button topics. Linda beamed. Emily mediated. Jake and I exchanged glances, a silent victory. But society didn't pause. Back in Chicago, a local bill on LGBTQ protections sparked protests. We joined, chanting for equality, Jake's voice strong beside mine. Our relationship, forged in fire, deepened. We discussed futures, marriage, kids, once distant dreams now tangible. But doubts crept in during quiet moments. Was Jake's journey truly his, or influenced by me? Society's lens distorted everything. Was he bi, or gay in denial? These questions fueled arguments, but also growth. One evening, over dinner at our favorite Italian spot in Little Italy, Jake proposed a trip. "Let's go to San Francisco, escape the noise." The vacation was a reset. Exploring Castro, holding hands freely, feeling normal. But even there, a heckler shouted slurs, reminding us paradise had cracks. Returning home, invigorated, we faced the ultimate test. Going public fully. Jake posted a photo of us on social media, captioning, "Proud to be with the man I love." By visibility. Likes poured in, but so did hate. Friends unfollowed. Family messaged concerns. Tom called, upset. "Why broadcast it?" Jake replied, "Because hiding hurts more." The backlash tested our limits. Jake's work complaint resolved in his favor. A promotion and policy changes. But personal tolls mounted. Emily revealed family gossip. Relatives judging, calling it a sin. Jake wavered, but held firm. "This is my life." Through it all, emotions swirled. Love, fear, anger, hope. Our choices to fight, to love defined us. But society's conflicts persisted, a relentless tide. As another year dawned, our story became a tapestry of triumphs and trials. Jake's visibility inspired others. A coworker came out, crediting him. But fame's double edge cut deep. A local podcast invited him to share his journey. Nervous but determined, Jake agreed. "If it helps one person, it's worth it," he said. The episode aired, raw and honest, detailing his drunken confession, family strife, societal pushback. Listeners responded. Support flooded in, but critics labeled him attention-seeking or confused by guy. The podcast amplified conflicts. Old friends resurfaced with accusations. "You changed because of Alex." Jake defended, "I evolved because of truth." Family dynamics strained anew. Tom listened, grumbling but engaging. "It's different now," he admitted during a call. Progress, albeit glacial. My own choices weighed heavy. A dream job offer in New York tempted me. Better pay, creative freedom. But it meant leaving Jake or asking him to uproot. "Go if you want," he said, eyes sad. "But I can't follow yet." The decision tore at me. Pursue ambition or nurture love? Society's narrative, that gay men prioritize careers over relationships, echoed in my mind, but I rejected it. "We'll make it work," I decided, turning it down. Jake hugged me tightly. "Thank you." Summer brought heat, literal and figurative. Pride Month amplified visibility, but so did opposition. A conservative rally in Chicago decried gay agendas. Protesters clashing with supporters. We attended counter-protests, Jake speaking out. "Love isn't political," he shouted. A photo of us went viral, drawing praise and vitriol. Online trolls doxed us, forcing privacy settings changes. "Is this worth it?" Jake asked one night, scrolling through hate. I nodded. You are. Personal growth intertwined with societal battles. Jake joined a bi support group, finding solidarity. People think bi means indecisive, he shared. Stories of erasure fueled his advocacy. I volunteered more, mentoring youth. Their questions mirrored ours. How do I come out? What if family rejects me? Guiding them healed our wounds. Fall's chill mirrored cooling tensions. Tom's birthday prompted a visit. Awkward at first, it thawed. He asked about our life, listened without interrupting. I'm trying, he said. Jake teared up. That's enough. Emily announced her engagement, pulling focus positively. You two next? She teased. We laughed, but the idea lingered. Yet, controversies persisted. A work scandal at Jake's firm, another discrimination case, implicated a colleague. Jake testified, risking alliances. Right is right, he insisted. The trial was grueling, media coverage intense. Supporters rallied, but detractors painted him as divisive. Stress strained us, arguments flared over risks. You're putting us in the spotlight, I said. For change, he countered. Holiday season tested resilience. We hosted a blended gathering, friends. Emily. Tom surprised us, showing up with Linda. Wanted to see my son. He grumbled, but stayed. Conversations flowed. Tentative bridges built. As snow fell outside, warmth grew inside. New challenges emerged in the new year. Jake's therapy unearthed deeper issues. Childhood bullying for soft traits. I hid so much, he confessed. Processing led to vulnerability, strengthening us. But external pressures mounted. A bill threatening LGBTQ rights sparked nationwide debates. We lobbied, petitioned, voices joining thousands. Amid chaos, intimate moments grounded us. Picnics in Grant Park, lazy Sundays, reminders of why we fought. Jake's laughter, my anchor. My support, his strength. A pivotal moment came during a spring retreat. Alone in a cabin up north, we reflected. That drunken night changed everything, Jake said. Best mistake ever. We discussed marriage, legal but socially charged. Ready? I asked. He smiled. With you? Yes. Planning ignited debates. Family involvement, public or private. Tom offered reluctant blessing. If it makes you happy. Friends divided, some thrilled, others questioning haste. As wedding day neared, conflicts peaked. A cousin boycotted, citing beliefs. Jake hurt, but resolute. Their loss. Society's mirror reflected. Progress uneven, acceptance patchy. The ceremony, intimate in a Chicago garden, was perfect. Vows exchanged amid tears and cheers. I choose you every day, Jake said. I echoed, heart full. Honeymoon in Hawaii brought bliss, but return to reality jarred. Post-wedding glow faded amid routine battles. Subtle discriminations, lingering judgments. Our story, once private, inspired. Jake wrote a blog sharing lessons. Readers connected, sparking discussions on bisexuality, coming out late, societal pressures. Yet questions lingered. Had we rushed? Was Jake's path authentic? Society's scrutiny amplified doubts. 2 years post-wedding, life settled into a rhythm, but drama never fully ebbed. Jake's blog gained traction, leading to speaking gigs. At a conference in D.C., he addressed crowds on LGBTQ issues. Coming out isn't one moment. It's ongoing, he shared. Applause followed, but backstage anxiety hit. What if I'm not qualified? Imposter syndrome, fueled by biphobic tropes, plagued him. I reassured, your story is valid. Family evolved. Tom, now retired, visited often. Conversations deepened. He admitted regrets. I was wrong, he said one evening over beer. Jake forgave, bonds mending. Linda baked our favorites. Emily's kids called us uncles. But extended family remained divided. Some embraced, others distanced. Workplace victories mounted. Jake's firm implemented inclusive policies, crediting his advocacy. He mentored juniors, fostering change. My career flourished too. A gallery show featured my art, themes of identity resonating. Social conflicts persisted. A Supreme Court ruling on rights sparked celebrations and fears. We marched in rallies, voices hoarse but determined. Friends' stories mirrored ours. A couple facing adoption barriers, another workplace harassment. Solidarity strengthened us. Personal choices tested limits. Discussions of kids arose, adoption or surrogacy. Society's biases loomed. Two dads? Unnatural. We researched, attended seminars. Jake hesitated. Am I ready to pass on my baggage? Therapy helped, but decisions loomed heavy. A crisis hit when Jake's old friend, Mike, outed himself in crisis. You're my inspiration, he said, seeking advice. Jake guided, but it reopened wounds. Remember when they judged me? Nostalgia mixed with growth. As anniversaries passed, reflections deepened. That drunken night, catalyst for chaos and love. Conflicts shaped us. Societal rejection forging resilience. Family strife yielding understanding. We bought a house in the suburbs, symbolizing stability. Neighbors varied. Welcoming barbecues contrasted whispered gossip. Ignore them, Jake said. But incidents stung. A vandalized mailbox with slurs. Police reports filed. Community support rallied. Advocacy became lifestyle. Jake co-founded a Bi network, amplifying voices. I designed campaigns, visuals sparking dialogue. Impact rippled. Policies changed. Minds opened. Yet, controversies brewed. A media interview twisted Jake's words, painting him as former straight guy gone gay. Outrage ensued. Clarifications issued. Bisexuality isn't a phase, he asserted. Debates flared online, highlighting erasure. In quiet moments, we pondered paths not taken. If Jake stayed closeted? If I moved on? Choices defined us, but at what cost? Our love endured, a beacon amid storms. Friends envied our bond, but knew the battles behind it. As we sat on our porch one evening, watching the sunset, Jake turned to me. Worth every fight? I nodded. Absolutely. Society's evolution continued, progress halting, regressions real. Our story, one thread in a vast tapestry, sparked questions. Was it right for Jake to explore his sexuality within our friendship, risking my heart in the process?